Pumpkin Patch Zombies Unleashed. The golden age of comics, spanning the late 1930s to the early 1950s, was a time of wild experimentation, especially when it came to horror and supernatural tales. One particularly eerie and influential story emerged in 1948 with the publication of Strange Tales from the Crypt. This issue is often cited as one of the earliest examples of blending folk horror with the chilling atmosphere of Halloween, a combination that was almost unheard of at the time. Unlike many of its contemporaries that focused on vampires or haunted houses, this story centered on a small rural town plagued by a bizarre phenomenon. On Halloween night, the dead would rise not from graveyards, but from the local pumpkin patches. The imagery of gnarled, moss-covered hands bursting through tangled vines and jack-o'-lanterns is now iconic, but at the time, it was utterly unique and deeply unsettling for readers accustomed to more traditional monster fare. The plot followed a young boy named Tommy and his skeptical uncle as they witnessed the annual resurrection ritual that the superstitious townsfolk whispered about but never dared to confront. As the story unfolded, it became apparent that the town's pumpkin harvest was cursed by a vengeful spirit wronged decades earlier. Each year, the dead would claw their way through the pumpkin fields, their faces twisted into grotesque parodies of the carved jack-o'-lanterns that dotted the landscape. The comics artist, already known for his atmospheric shading, leaned into the grotesque, making the pumpkins themselves appear complicit in the horror, their toothy grins mocking the living as the undead shuffled forth. The tale masterfully combined the folklore of harvest festivals and the American tradition of Halloween, making it both familiar and deeply disturbing. What set Strange Tales from the Crypt apart was its ability to tap into the anxieties of post-war America. The Pumpkin Patch Zombies were not mindless monsters, but manifestations of guilt, loss, and the fear of things left unresolved. The issue's climactic scenes, where the entire town is forced to reckon with its dark secret under the cold gaze of a full moon, paved the way for the psychological horror comics of the 1950s and beyond. It wouldn't be long before publishers like EC Comics and others took notice, drawing inspiration from this blend of rural folklore and the macabre. In fact, several later zombie comics, including the now classic Tales from the Crypt series, owe a direct debt to the innovations introduced in this unassuming Halloween special. Despite its influence, Strange Tales from the Crypt quickly vanished from newsstands, a victim of the era's growing censorship and the subsequent moral panic surrounding horror comics. Original issues became a collector's treasure, and the story faded into obscurity until modern historians and enthusiasts began to unearth its legacy. Today, it stands as a testament to the creativity and daring of the Golden Age, a perfect example of how comic books could be both terrifying and thought-provoking. Brought to you by Victory Age Comics. Reviving forgotten heroes, one panel at a time.